Alright, sorry about that. Let me start again. Chapter 4, The Old Brit. The Mueller Albert Ballroom in Quacktown, Pennsylvania. What do you drop kicking mean the Federation dissolved? Vinny's already broken one cigar. Right now he's working on grinding the other down to a nub. And who can blame him? Just what I said, says Curtis Jackman. Curtis is one of the stars of Phoenix Power Slam Pro. Or he was. Apparently the owners of PPP had skipped town after the last show a week ago, taking all the ticket sales and wrestlers' wages with them. As a result, Curtis was one of the only 3 wrestlers who had shown up for today's joint show with the BWF. So why didn't you drop kick and tell me about this last week? Vinny stabs his cigar toward the curtains beyond which await a restless crowd that's practically spilling out onto the street. Why don't you tell them? Why don't you cancel the show? Curtis makes a placating gesture. We've got to go on with the show, man. I need to get that deposit back. I used my money for it. I'm already in the red. What am I, a leg-dropping charity? And there goes the cigar. Don't use me to clean up your mess. And a show? Vinny flails a hand at you, Dame Sagramore, and 2 other wrestlers. It was supposed to be a joint 3-hour show, you maniac! I bring the star power, you bring the manpower, that was the deal! I only brought 4 wrestlers with me, Chop, damn it! And only 2 of them are worth a damn! Vinny Guider, master of morale. Maybe that's a bit loud, let me turn it down a bit. There we go. I might be able to convince a few others to come in. Maybe. Hopefully. Curtis looks like he's about to cry. Come on, Vinny. Show a worker some love. Well, why don't we ask the other workers, huh? Put it to a vote. Vinny turns to the 4 of you. All those in favor of royally screw-jobbing yourselves, raise your hands. Dame Sagramore raises her hand. Vinny blinks. Listen, Edith. You deserve a better send-off than this, Vinny says. We'll reschedule. Put on a show worthy of you. Dame Sagramore shakes her head. This is my last show, Vinny. By hook or by crook. The other 2 wrestlers are fairly new, and they look at each other, then look at you. Time for our first poll of the night. And there's 3 options. Get to voting! Do I raise my hand because I'm a professional? Do I raise my hand because I need to get paid? Or do I shake my head? Get those votes in. Get involved, everyone! The more votes, the better. I gotta get paid, I guess. Unless number 1 can make a comeback. But I don't think so. There we go. We are the Chocolate Bomber, that is our name. So I won't raise my hand. I won't get paid if I refund tickets. You hesitate, then shrug. If we wrestle, we get paid, right? Curtis nods vigorously. With this level of attendance, the gate profit should be enough to pay the 4 of you something. Good enough for me. You raise your hand. Dame Sagramore gives you a nod. After another moment, the 2 rookies raise their hands. Vinny shakes his head and takes out another cigar. You don't want to know what'll happen if he runs out. Well then, geniuses, you guys figure out how to book a 3-hour show with 7 wrestlers. I'll be setting up the merchandise stands. Vinny walks away, leaving you with the other wrestlers. Curtis turns to Dame Sagramore. What are we gonna do, ma'am? Dame Sagramore places a hand on your shoulder. I'll let the young lady here decide. You blink. What? Dame Sagamore smiles. Vinny sees a bright future for you, Blood, and I agree. Wait. That didn't sound very good. I think that's our name. I didn't think she meant to be a thug there. It's why he paired us for my last run, so I could train you up. That involves more than giving you a drubbing in the ring. Letting you deal with the ups and downs of the business is another. So show me what you've got. You think that maybe Dame Sagamore is taking your kayfabe feud a bit too literally. The storyline had begun with Dame Sagamore announced her retirement at the big show 3 months ago. As she was cutting an emotional promo thanking the fans for their support through the years, Girl Rising began to blare through the speakers, and he came down to the ring to challenge the old Brit, telling her that it was about time that she retired, and that Dame Sagamore couldn't compete at your level anymore. You asked her to spare herself embarrassment and simply cede the title to you. Instead, Dame Sagamore had thrown you out of the ring, then given you 29 chances to beat her, one for each year she'd been in the business. Your final match is a home weapons match, where fans bring in mundane household items, not knives or aluminum bats or anything too obviously capable of violence, for the wrestlers to use against each other. You can't imagine stretching that match to more than 30 minutes. Fans expect weapons matches to be brutal. But what else can you do to fill the hours without extending all the matches? That's right, Dolina Blood. Do we have very long promo segments? Do we recycle wrestlers or ask Dame Sagamore? Get those votes in while you can. Alright, I guess we're going for recycling wrestlers. Well, you say, rubbing your chin for effect. There's no reason for the crowd to know we only have a handful of wrestlers, right? Dame Sagamore nods her approval. Pull down the veil. Good thinking, young lady. Curtis, you say, didn't a few guys and gals from your roster used to borrow your gear and props from a nearby costume shop? Sure, said Curtis. Haruhi's folks run House Masquerade just down the block. They're big fans. Take us there, and if you can convince them to lend us a few pieces, we'll give you your show. By the time you and the others return to the area, and you're carrying enough masks, sequins, jackets, goggles, and other paraphernalia to attire each of you in 6 different gimmicks. Fortunately, Curtis is able to bring in a few other former PPP wrestlers, so the 4 of you from the BWF only need to have 2 matches each. The alternate gimmick you chose, from the rather kitschy options available, combines a black denim punk rock outfit with a plastic cattle prod and a pair of tattered, broken fairy wings. Fallen Fairy has a 20-minute match with the Stocking Skeptic, one of the BWF rookies that you forced into a pair of ridiculous patchwork fishnets. You go over, of course. Rank hath its privileges. You return backstage, tired but happy. The rest of the first half of the show goes on remarkably well, all things considered. Soon enough it's time for the intermission. Normally you'd be out there with the others selling your merchandise to the fans, but when you started the angle with Dame Sagamore, Vinny decided that you and the old Brit need to be kept away from fans until after your match. Instead, some of the BWF staff are in charge of selling your merchandise and promising those who purchase the photos, posters and postcards. The signing will take place after the main event. So you spend an intermission in the locker room, stretching in anticipation for your last match with Dame Sacramore. As soon as you've begun, she comes in and takes a seat on the bench across from you. You raise a hand in greeting. "Good idea, those disguises," Dame Sacramore says. "Even those in the crowd who know that we're just reusing wrestlers seem to appreciate the effort we've gone through to give them a longer show." "I'm just glad it worked out," you say. Dame Sacramore leans against one of the lockers. She seems not tired, but free from tension, content with where she is. It's a rare quiet moment, and you're once again struck by the thought that, in some small way, you're now part of the Dame Sacramore legend. You think that any wrestler, whether or not a fan of the old Brit, would feel some awe at being present at the very end of her storied career. You feel the urge to ask her a question. Get the votes in. As many votes as we can get. One and three are tied for first. Number 3 takes the lead. Oh, fuck! Which will it be? Oh, wow, number 3 took a big jump. But number 2 can still catch up. Oh, I guess it can't at this point. And number 3. Any regrets here at the end? Undoubtedly there would be, and there's a story behind each. That's what you'd like to hear. Dame Sacramore closes her eyes, and for a moment you think that she isn't going to answer. Then, "I've seen a lot of things in 3 decades of wrestling. Been a lot of things. Been on top, been at the very bottom. Do you know, young lady, I've known some workers who count the number of miles they travel. Always seemed a bit of a waste to me. That's not the number that matters. When I started out, what I tried to keep track of was the number of hours I spent in-ring, in front of a crowd. I lost track at around 10,150. The old Brit holds up a calloused hand, the skin still tight but showing plenty of wear and tear. What can a woman create in 10,000 hours, do you think? A temple? A garden? A fortune? A family? I've made nothing so concrete. What I have to show are only 3 things that this business of ours can promise. Fans, friends, and foes." Dame Sacramore holds up 3 fingers, then ticks them off one by one. "The first group seldom know my face, much less know the real me. The second only become that when you stop being a threat to their position on the card." She stares at the sole remaining finger. "But foes, foes. You can always count on them. My foes are what get me out of bed in the morning. Each match is another chance to make them eat crow, to prove them wrong, to show them that if he'd only booked you well, given you a fair shake, you would have balanced the cost, justified his beliefs." Dame Sacramore suddenly takes a sharp, deep breath, realizing she was on her feet, or maybe realizing she'd gone from a general indictment to a rant against an unnamed he. "I apologize, lady. That was unprofessional of me." Dame Sacramore shakes her head. "I won't miss this life, but I regret the fact that leaving it will mean some wrongs will never be made right." One, 2, or 3. I like the music tone change in that last page. Pretty impressive. Nine votes and 11 votes. 9-11, it's a damn conspiracy! So, number 2. Wow, maybe I should just retire with you. The end. God, the old woman makes it all sound so depressing. Before Dame Sagamore can say anything more, you hear a respectful knock on the door. Sam peeps out, looking for all the world like he'd rather be anywhere else. You wonder how much he overheard. Sorry to bother you, but Dolina has an old friend here to see her. Me? You say? That must be a mistake. You don't know anyone in the area. You sure this isn't like that one time in Texas? Oh, I'm sure you know this girl. You turn to Dame Sagamore, but she's already waving you off. Go on. We have some time before you take my tile, she smiles. Vinny sent word that he wants to talk to me before we head out anyway. You exchange a handshake with the old Brit, then let Sam lead you out into the backstage foyer. There's a lot of activity preparing for the resumption of matches, but you don't see your visitor in the throng. You're about to ask Sam just who is here to see you when a pair of huge arms wrap themselves around you. Who is it? With a grunt, you break free of the bear hug and turn around with fists raised, ready to fight, but then both your fists and your jaw drop. Gianna? As strong as ever, I see, the big Samoan laughs. It's brilliant to see you, Dolina. The two of you exchange a more proper hug, with a side order of backslapping for good measure. Are you surprised? Gianna grins. You are, aren't you? That's an understatement. Gianna hadn't been the same after the car accident. Even if you'd been behind the one behind the wheel, Gianna would have been overwhelmed with guilt. She'd given up amateur wrestling as well as her dream of becoming a professional wrestler, much to the disappointment of her family. You'd kept in touch, but Gianna refused to talk about wrestling and all, which made for rather limited conversation, given your career and interests. In spite of your friendship, she was probably the last person you expected to see at a wrestling show. What are you doing here? I was in the area on business, Gianna says, and I heard that you were wrestling Dame Sagamore. Dame Sagamore! How could I miss it? Easily, given her disavowal of all things wrestling for the past few years. You wonder if you should bring that up, or just take it as a good sign. Excuse me. Do I accept it? Do I probe? Or do I just ask? If you're just joining us, Gianna was in the car accident with us. That was provided in a flashback earlier. Looks like it's overwhelming. I gotta probe further. Listen, Gianna, you begin. Don't think I'm not touched that you're here, but you've sworn off any interest in wrestling for years. What's changed since then? What are you saying, huh? Gianna's face takes a hurt expression. I can't decide to come and see a friend? I'm not saying that. You hold up your hands while mentally cursing. I'm just surprised, that's all, and... Well, surprising you was the point. I assumed it would be a good surprise. But apparently I was wrong. Oh god, now she's pouting. You can tell your old friend is being evasive, but if Gina's this defensive about something, it's usually not worth the effort to draw her out. Okay, let's just start over, you say, at which point Gianna wraps you in a bear hug again. Not literally, you moron, you say, but you're laughing. So, Gianna says after she releases you, wrestling Dame Sagamore, awesome or super awesome? You tell Gianna about the past few months and she responds with her trademark disproportionate excitement. And soon it's like old times again. Except during those good old days, there were 3 of you. Neither of you mention JJ, and even as you're enjoying the conversation, the spectre of your former friend's absence weighs on you. If Gianna heard of your match with Dame Sagamore, that she's heard of JJ quickly becoming one of GWA's fastest rising stars. Heck, you've tried to avoid tracking JJ's career, but it's just proved impossible not to hear about her. Especially after she won the Alpha Women's Championship. JJ's a favourite topic of the scoop sheets and fan bloggers, even the other wrestlers. You've even seen people wearing her official shirt during your shows. You always make sure to single out those fans when you're taunting the crowd. You can't help but wonder if Gianna has been in touch with JJ as well. Finally, you can't suppress your curiosity any longer, and decide to approach the topic from an angle. So, you say, perhaps too casually, have you had a chance to catch Wednesday Night Wrestling recent? Have you got your match all worked out for later? You blink. Well, the basics, sure. A lot will depend on the weapons the fans bring, and Dame Sagamore tends to call a lot on the fly. Oh man, I'd be so nervous winging it with the Forrest Dundee in the audience, she says. But at least Dame Sagamore's one of the— Hey! Unthinking, you grab Gianna by the collar and pulled her down to your eye level. What did you just say? Gianna looks confused. You mean that Dame Sagamore is one of the— No, the other part. Dundee is here? Now? Yeah, Gianna says. You didn't know? Forrest Dundee has been the chief booker for the GWA's flagship show, Wednesday Night Wrestling, and before that, Wednesday Warzone, for the better part of 2 decades. A well-regarded wrestler in his own right, known as Ichabod, before an untimely leg injury, he is said to have both a brilliant wrestling mind and an ice-cold heart. Everything to him is a matter of quantifiable value. Ratings, buy rates, and social media rankings. He'll sacrifice anyone's career for the betterment of the GWA as a whole. He is rarely found outside of GWA's headquarters in New York, and he usually leaves recruitment to his team of talent relation executives. But rumor has it that he occasionally ventures out in the world to personally vet particularly promising recruits. One of those chosen ones, according to the scoop sheets, had been none other than JJ Havoc. After much prodding, Gianna accompanies you to the bleachers area and points out a rail-thin man seated at ringside. He's wearing dark glasses and a hat, but you can see him fondling with the handle of his trademark cane. You feel yourself start to hyperventilate. This is it. This is your big chance. What are you gonna do, Dolina? Alright, I'm gonna need a drink before I keep going, so answer this poll and I'll be back soon. Alright, I'm back. Stop. Jeez, that was really close. I could have asked Vinny for advice. Ah. That sounded fun. That sounds like fun. But I'll go over my match again. It might make it look better, and he might think better of me. All you can really control is your performance in the match. Maybe running through it with Dame Sagamore one more time will help iron out any kinks. Excusing yourself, you leave Gianna in the bleachers and return ringside. Oh, backstage, sorry. After an hour of fruitless searching, you find Dame Sagamore speaking with Vinny in a secluded alcove near a storage room. Immediately you can tell that something's wrong. Vinny looks so upset that he's not even chomping a cigar, and Dame Sagamore's face might as well have been carved out of stone for all the emotion it shows. I've got to think about the future and promotion of the... Who's been drawing the crowds for the past 3 years? Dame Sagamore's voice is cold and low. Who lent you the cash when Jody ran off with all your savings? The old Brit steps towards Vinny, looming over him. I want this, and you'll give it to me. And even after you've done that, you'll still be in my debt. Do we understand each other? Vince raises his arms in disgust and spits on the floor, then walks away. He sees you standing there and pauses for a moment, then shakes his head sadly. I'm sorry, kid, he says as he passes you. He lays a hand on your shoulder for a moment, then walks away. We'll fix this when she's gone. I swear it. Now it's just you and Dame Sagamore in the alcove. The old Brit is breathing heavily, and appears lost in thought. Then she shakes herself and meets your eyes. Change of plans, she says. Not he says, she says. I'm going over tonight. I'm retiring as champion. I mean, I'd hear her out, but it's up to you guys. This is a joint adventure. You guys get to... Are we gonna be a cunt? I guess we are. Nobody wants to let her win. I object to this change. I'm supposed to win. That was not what we'd agreed on. Dame Sagamore holds up a palm. I'm not done yet. The old Brit arches her back, then cracks her neck. We'll go 10 minutes. I'll send you out of the ring with a clothesline early, then we'll do one round of weapons past RLA, then through C, back to the ring. I'll hit you with a chair for pin. Got it? You listen to the old Brit with a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. That's not a match. That's a squash. Dame Sagamore wants to squash you, with Forrest Dundee in the audience. What a cunt! Is she trying to get... Oh, don't tell me. She's gonna try and get over to get noticed by Vinny. That's bullshit! Don't attack her. Don't attack her, come on. Oh. Alright, I guess we're gonna find out what happens. Dame Sagamore's gonna look to impress in front of Vinny and try and steal our spot. I guess we're gonna attack her. Unless you guys can change that. I guess we're gonna attack her. Oh, this isn't gonna be a good idea. Ah, fuck. Oh, I don't want to click next. Alright, let's go. You growl, low in your throat, but before you've even taken a step towards Dame Sagamore, the old Brit lunges forward, and suddenly you and Dame Sagamore are standing nose to nose. I'm sure you think you can take this old woman, girl, Dame Sagamore says, her voice strangely without heat, purely matter of fact. But not without a fight, not without cost. I may only get one shot in, but trust me when I tell you, I know exactly where to hit you to ensure you'll never wrestle at a high level, ever again. So make your choice. You hesitate, then Dame Sagamore has brushed past you. See you in the ring, blood, she says. And then, she's gone. For a long moment, you just stand there in the alcove, breathing deeply, your hands clenching and unclenching, your thoughts are whirling chaos in your head. You think of the title, of the crowd, of JJ and Gianna and Forrest Dundee. You think of the Dame Sagamore you remember from many barroom celebrations, the contented woman you saw earlier in the locker room, the stone-faced traitor whom you've just met. Then you hear Dame Sagamore's music playing, and the chorus of cheers that greets her as she walks down the ramp. Enough thinking. Decision time. What are you gonna do about the match? Building on the match while tempting, or bailing on the match while tempting is not an option. You owe Vinny that much, and besides, word will get around, and however Dame Sagamore came out of it, you'll be seen as just as bad a light as you'll be seen in just as bad a light if you leave a show in the lurch. No, the way you see it, you have 3 choices, maybe 4. You can, of course, simply lie down and do the job. It's the most professional thing to do, and the one that would cause the least problems backstage, but you'll also be waiving your chances of impressing Forrest Dundee goodbye. You can also let yourself be squashed but show off your athleticism, and protest the bookie at the same time by overselling, or reacting in an absurdly exaggerated manner to pull or reacting in an absurdly exaggerated manner to all of Dame Sagramore's moves. We could Shawn Michaels her to her Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam. But you'll need to have good timing and technique to pull that off. Alternatively, you can just try to somehow force Dame Sagamore to have a good match. She can't squash you if you don't let her. However, you'd be gambling that Dame Sagamore would rather let you undermine her plan than simply walk away, and you're not sure how well you know Dame Sagamore anymore. Or of course, part of you wishes that you could simply march down to the ring and legitimately attempt to beat the old Brit up, but you're not so sure you have it in you if you throw script and kayfabe out the window and turn the match into an actual fight. We need that. We need to look good. Remember that. We need to look good for Vinny so he can bring us into his company. But I don't know any good way to do that except for overselling, but that sounds difficult. Oh man, 2 and 3 are tied. Oh, I gotta go until there's a tiebreaker. Who's gonna break the tie? That's it, number 2. time to oversell, I guess. Jeez, that was way too close. Alright. Are you ready? Let's find out how this goes, I guess. Fine. If Dame Sagamore wants you to put her over, wants you to make her look like she's a beast in the ring, you can do that. In fact, you'll make her look superhuman. You'll fly around and bump as if you were battling the Hulk. While the majority of the crowd may simply see this as a good thing for Dame Sagamore, the other wrestlers and the old hands, those with insider knowledge like Forrest Dundee, will know that you're mocking Dame Sagamore. All the more important, the old Brit will know it too. On the books it will still be a loss, but no one whose opinion you care about will think that you're in agreement with the decision. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to show off enough of your abilities, of your personality, to catch Dundee's attention. It's a long shot, but better than being a punching bag for 10 minutes. You make your way to the curtain as Girl Rising fills the arena. You roll your shoulders, bounce on your toes, your breathing slow and controlled as you wait for your cue. You realize then that, while you can feel adrenaline coursing through your veins like blood, an enveloping calm has descended upon you. You've made your choice, and now it's time to see it through. Dame Sagamore's time is over. No sky, no horizon, no limit! Yours is just beginning, you think, as you step through the curtain. Chocolate Bomber sucks! Chocolate Bomber sucks! The crowd lets you know the moment they catch sight of you. Sneer at the crowd, flex my muscles, or glare at them. This is what I assume our theme song sounds like. Looks like we're gonna flex our muscles. Flex my muscles. You show off a physique that most folks in the crowd can only dream of. The crowd boos their disapproval. You saunter down the ramp slowly, bad-mouthing the fans along the ramp, questioning their intelligence, their style, their status as human beings. You set your sights on an old lady with a ludicrously oversized purse, waving a pennant with Dame Sagamore's 3-star emblem. You mock her enthusiastic flag waving, lolling your tongue like a dog with its head out the window. That's when she reaches into her purse and takes out a porcelain vase and hurls it at your head. The vase slams into your skull and sends you reeling, but thankfully it doesn't shatter until it hits the floor at your feet. You shake your head, trying to clear your vision, but then realize you're not just seeing stars, but blood as well. That crazy old bat just cut you open! You regain your senses just as security is escorting the old lady out of the arena. You feel a stab of pity until you realize one of the bouncers is holding something else that must have confiscated from her. A lead pipe. You slide into the ring quickly. Who knows how many other armed crazies are out there? You wipe off the blood as best you can and head to the center of the ring. Dame Sagamore and the referee are waiting. Dame Sagamore offers her hand. As the two of you shake hands, the referee turns in order to ring the bell. Dame Sagamore tries to pull away, but you maintain your grasp and pull her closer to you. You want to look strong for your exit, you whisper to Dame Sagamore. I'll give you all that, and more. She gives you a confused look as you walk past her into a water-neutral corner, and suddenly rush the old Brit, screaming a war cry. As predicted, Dame Sagamore counters with a clothesline. What does come as a surprise to him, is that the clothesline flips you head over heels. You land hard, then crawl into a corner, hacking and coughing and making gasping noises. Even while you're doing your best tuberculosis impression, you set yourself up nicely to feed into a full-body splash from Dame Sagamore. She takes a run and lands on top of you, sandwiching you between her and the turnbuckle. You scream like your arm is being amputated. What the hell do you think you're doing? Dame Sagamore's voice is a controlled hiss, but you can feel the fury behind those words. Get those votes in, everyone. Give her the sass. It's too close. It's really close. Come on. Oh man, it's tied up. We're gonna go until there's a tiebreaker. Oh, 14-14 now. Break the tie. No! 15 up. Stop. 16-15 for number 2. That was a fun poll. Treating you with the same respect you treated me. What's good for the goose, eh, old woman? Dame Sagamore sends you flying towards the opposite corner with a vicious Irish whip. You're spun by hitting the turnbuckle so hard you flip over it and onto the floor. The bump is painful, but the reaction you get out of the crowd is worth it. While most of the fans are clueless as to what you're doing, you hear a few young men in the front row laugh. Dame Sagamore comes at you with murder in her eyes, and you brace yourself. The plan that she's most likely come up with isn't difficult to predict. Hit you as hard as she can until you just don't have the strength left to oversell. The trick, then, will be twofold. Attempting to avoid serious injury from Dame Sagamore while still managing to sell it in a ludicrously exaggerated fashion. Dame Sagamore grabs an old leather shoe from a fan, and so it begins. For the first few minutes you manage to position yourself though to absorb Dame Sagamore's blows on the tougher parts of your body, like your shoulder or your thighs, or manage to turn just enough that they barely hit you. Of course, every time, you react like you've been hit by a truck. But it doesn't last. You misjudge a bump on the barricade, and off the rebound, Dame Sagamore rams a bar stool into your solar plexus. You fold your knees, dazed, and what happens next isn't pretty. Dame Sagamore breaks a stool over your back, then hits you with a barrage of other weapons with such force that you don't have the strength to stand up straight, much less to oversell. Dame Sagamore doesn't even bother going for a pin. She just beats on you until you can no longer get to your feet for the mandatory 5 count. The audience doesn't quite know what to make of that match. There's a mix of applause and boos as Dame Sagamore heads to the back. The old Brit doesn't say a word to you or the crowd. A few minutes later, you follow her, angry and embarrassed that your plan went sideways. When you go through the curtain, Vinny's waiting. He shakes his head at you. Nice try, kid, but you've got a ways to go before you're sizzling shiny seagull. Dame Sagamore turns to you with a sneer. Serves you right, you piece of... Vinny steps between the two of you. Leave it, Edith. You got your win, your heat, for all that's worth. Take it. Like hellite, Vinny jabs his cigar at Dame Sagamore. take it with the grace and professionalism that you should have displayed before the match started. Dame Sagamore glares down at the smaller man, but the promoter stands his ground. Finally, Dame Sagamore looks away. Vinny puts the cigar back between his teeth. You've got a signing to get to. Dame Sagamore throws up her hands and stalks away. Then Vinny turns to you. Can't say I don't know where your head was at, kid, Vinny says. But in the future, make sure that your head isn't writing checks that your skills can't cash. Vinny chews on his cigar. Here's what you need to remember, kid. Even if this business is called professional wrestling, professional behavior isn't the norm. And the higher up the ladder you go, the more you'll run into those who see the business as their fiefdom. For the first time ever, at least in your experience, Vinny strikes a match and lights his cigar. Walk with me. You follow Vinny as he leads you back to the women's locker room. Edith's a good girl generally, but the GWA treated her like crap. Word is that old Cameron Dobbs actually liked Dame Sagamore, but Forrest Dundee had it out for Edith and managed to convince the Dragon Lady that Dame Sagamore was just not a good fit for the GWA, never mind that his evidence consisted of shows where he'd given Dame Sagamore the worst possible scripts and bookings. So when Edith found out that Dundee was in the audience today, well, the idea of losing yet another match, her last ever in front of Dundee, was more than the old woman could swallow. One, two, or three. And that's it. So we're going with option 3, to stay silent. It's probably the best option we could have chosen at that point. No one can hear you, not even the police. Alright. I'm not telling you this because I want to justify our actions. Okay, well maybe in part I am. I've known Edith for a long time and I don't want you thinking too badly of her. You and Vinny reach the locker room and he places his hand on the doorknob. But really, this is about you, kid. The lessons you learn when you're at the bottom are what you'll need to keep in mind when you're at the top. I can handle being BWF champion, Vinny, you say. I was ready when I agreed to the program with Dame Sagamore. I'm not talking about that, kid. Vinny raises his head. Vinny shakes his head. I'm talking about what you'll need to keep your head above water, to keep the sharks at bay. The door to the locker room opens. He's talking about me, Miss Blood, says Forrest Dundee. Come in, Chocolate Bomber. We have a lot to talk about. Oh, fuck. Vincent, Dundee shoots a cool glance at the BWF promoter who snorts in reply. You shooing me out, Dundee? I think you've filled the young woman's mind with enough of your advice, says Dundee. Vinny looks like he might argue, but then he glances your way and visibly restrains himself. He shakes your hand. You're alright, kid. You come to me if I don't treat you right, you hear? With a last glare at Dundee, he leaves. Dundee taps his cane thrice against the closed door. Alone at last. I'm Forrest Dundee, says the slim man. Although I suppose I don't need to tell you that. Vincent has no doubt taken upon himself to prepare you for me. Dundee shakes his head like a parent humoring a child. You lick your lips, best to tread cautiously here. I prefer to make up my own mind about things. Do you? Dundee's eyes sparkle. Well now, it appears that we have much in common. That's the very reason I came down here to this little federation. Dundee turns away slightly, then looks at you from the corner of his eye. JJ Havoc speaks very highly of you. Oh fuck. Wait, hold on. And, what do I call this? Wait, no. There we go. Now you can vote. I put up the vote a little early there. That was the poll for the previous match, the Swallow poll. Alright. So, number 3. And what do you think? What JJ thinks really is an issue here. Dundee shrugs. Here's what I think. I didn't see too much of what you can do, so as far as I'm concerned, talent-wise, you're no better than any other wannabe star with their eye on the biggest game in town. Dundee takes a few steps away from you, cane tip-tapping on the floor, and he turns back to you with a small smile. Fortunately for you, the decision was already made before I arrived here. Dundee reaches into a pocket and takes out an envelope. You open it and see a plane ticket. We're in the middle of filming a new show called Near Fall Academy. It's a reality show where contestants live together and run through an accelerated iteration of our developmental system. The finale will be live on an episode of Wednesday Night Wrestling, and the winner will immediately join the active GWA roster. You stare at the ticket, your jaw dropping. Holy crap. You try to focus on what Dundee's saying, but your mind is already whirling at 100 miles a minute. You'll be coming in mid-season, so to speak, but I was told you wouldn't mind having the odds stacked against you. Not if it means a chance that in 3 months' time you'll be living your dream. Dundee notices your shell-shocked expression and the fact that your hands have begun to tremble. He smirks. So, do I take that for a yes? How do we answer? That's all up to you guys in the chat right now. Get your votes in. Yes! You got 10 seconds. Alright, so we picked the first one. Yes. Oh no, oh man, it went to 13-13 as it finished. I've got to resume the poll. We need a tiebreaker. Someone needs to break this tie. Just as I finished the poll, it was 12-13. Okay, let's stop. Stop. No more. So it's the first one. Yes. You're looking a bit on edge. Oh wait, no, that's chapter 5. No, we gotta stop it here. I thought that was a continuing conversation, but that is all for today. My throat's a bit sore. I'm not a professional reader, so I apologize for that. That was really fun. That was a really fun chapter. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did. I won't be able to do anything today because my internet's shit, so no Agari or anything like that. So, for now and until next time, and until